Sebastian Vettel has had one of the most eventful careers out of any driver on the current grid. He has gone from being on top of the world in 2013 to being left in no man's land by Ferrari in 2020, only to be given a lifeline by Aston Martin for 2021. So, what exactly will his legacy be? Firstly, his championship winning years at Red Bull, 2011 and 2013 in particular, were absolutely stellar. Seb adapted brilliantly to the blown diffuser cars like no other, using a counterintuitive driving style to his advantage, extracting the maximum potential from his machinery. He ended up winning 4 titles on the bounce, and to this day still holds the record for the most consecutive wins in a season, with 9 in 2013. However, come the new turbo hybrid era from 2014 onwards, everything was about to change at Red Bull. In came youngster Daniel Ricciardo, and Vettel was absolutely blown out of the water, eventually leaving the team that gave him so much, opting for a new adventure in red at Ferrari. Of course, his championship winning years with the Red Bull will probably form the greater part of his legacy, but for some, his story at Ferrari, widely accepted as F1's greatest team, may hold much greater significance, including some of his peers in the paddock. Alonso famously stated back in the day that it was how Seb dealt with a less competitive car, perhaps in the midfield, as opposed to his championship winning years, that will define his status amongst F1's greats. Of course, some jealousy would have been involved with those statements, Alonso being Seb's title rival in 2010 and 2012, for instance, but clearly not everyone was satisfied. And now I'll hand over to Aldas to talk more about his spell at Ferrari.
When you look at Seb's time at Ferrari and whether or not he lived up to the hype and how it will affect his legacy, and whether or not Alonso's prophecy came true from 2013, I don't think it's as simple as a yes or a no, because on one hand, there is no doubt that he proved a lot of people wrong in 2015 in that first season for Ferrari, and that it wasn't just Red Bull that were making him win all those races. I mean, the moment he came into the team in 2015, he was the number 1 driver and immediately had success with the team in the very first season, in the second race actually in Malaysia, winning for Ferrari. So that must have been a massive moment for him, and I think a real confidence boost to know that he can have success outside of Red Bull. And as I said, he was immediately the number 1 at the team against Kimi Raikkonen, although it's very interesting to look at the comparisons between Raikkonen and Alonso in 2014 and just how far ahead Alonso was of Kimi Raikkonen and how much closer Raikkonen was to Vettel in 2015. But nevertheless, he did prove that he can be a race winner and lead a team outside of that Red Bull environment. But when it comes to winning championships, this is where the real legacy question kind of creeps in, because he did get a chance to win titles for Ferrari in 2017 and 2018, and he couldn't quite pull it off. Now, there were so many reasons to this. First and foremost, you have to look at the driver, because he is the man in the car, and whilst there is no doubt that Seb made a lot of mistakes, and he was nowhere near the arrogant, selfish, bulletproof Seb that almost didn't care about the team, his teammate. He only cared about himself and winning and showing us that famous finger like when he was at Red Bull. He was a much different character to Ferrari, and I think that's actually one of the reasons why the pressure got to him so much more at Ferrari, because Ferrari is a different kind of beast. There is nothing else like winning and trying to fight for titles whilst being at Ferrari. The pressure is so much more, but the feeling of winning for that team is also like nothing else. And in the end, of course, there was a lot of stuff on the Ferrari side that didn't work out as well in terms of the team and the management, and it all combined together together for a really disappointing couple of years, in my opinion, in 2017 and 2018. And I think by then, Seb's confidence and trust in the team really started to wane. And Seb is not one of those guys that can just outdrive a team if he's low on confidence. He doesn't have that ability, in my opinion. And especially when you look at his record against young teammates, with the introduction of Charles Leclerc in 2019, Ferrari trying to almost change a little bit and go with the times, going with a brand new young driver, that was a shock to the system for Seb. He went from being the number one undisputed leader at Ferrari to having this young gun at Charles Leclerc, and I don't think he quite expected for things to turn out the way that they did. And what I find fascinating is that after 1 year, if you look at the end of 2019, Matteo Binotto as well, I mean, we all know the complications between Vettel and Binotto and their relationship. I mean, Seb was just pushed out of the team by Charles Leclerc and Binotto after only one season as a pairing. And then in 2020, I mean, that was Seb at his absolute worst. I've never seen him have a worse season, in my opinion. And I think he needed that fresh start at Aston Martin. So, yeah, swinging back all the way to that Alonso prophecy that Vettel would almost be kind of found out at Ferrari, I don't know if I necessarily agree and disagree with it. There's great arguments on both sides because there's no doubt that Vettel was able to win races and carry the team. But when it comes to the pressure of winning at Ferrari and outperforming sometimes the car, and we've got to talk about as well, up against Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, the Mercedes-Hamilton juggernaut that it was never going to be easy to beat. It just didn't quite work out for Sebastian Vettel, and I think one of the biggest aspects was the pressure. Perhaps maybe the pressure of being at Ferrari got to him, trying to almost eclipse what Michael Schumacher was able to do, trying to live up and try to win his 5th world title after winning 4 straight for Red Bull. It just got a little bit too much, and I think that with him leaving Ferrari and going to Aston Martin, I think that's what everyone needed. Vettel needed a new start, and I think Ferrari did need to let go of Vettel and almost get a fresh start with a much younger driver lineup with Sainz and Leclerc. So in terms of what the Ferrari years will do for Vettel's legacy looking back, I do think it will have a massive impact. It's something I've talked about a lot because when you look at other drivers, and I'm talking about greats, I'm not talking about drivers that have just won races, I'm talking about multiple title winners. Yes, they've had bad seasons. Yes, they've had bad cars, but I don't think we've ever seen the likes of what happened to Seb in 2018, how he just collapsed in the second part of the season, and then the way he got beat by Charles Leclerc. So as much as I do think that he proved a lot of people wrong at Ferrari, I do think the Ferrari years are going to have a negative impact on Seb's legacy. But again, as much as it didn't work out, as much as he probably didn't live up to the expectations of what we thought a 4-time world champion could do at Ferrari, outside of those early golden years at Red Bull and winning those 4 consecutive world titles early on, and then going to Ferrari and not quite ending the way anyone really wanted, now he is at Aston Martin, and his legacy and how we look back on his career, it's in his hands. He's in the driver's seat, both metaphorically and physically, and only he can decide and write what his legacy is going to be at the end of his career.
Massive thanks to Aldas for coming on and helping out with the video. As he said, Seb has been given another lifeline by Aston Martin to really show what he's made of and take that team to the top of the sport and do the job that he's been signed to do. That being said, has the damage already been done? Personally, I think so, to a certain extent. At Ferrari, he was given the chance to fight Hamilton and Merck for the title in both 17 and 18, and ultimately he didn't deliver the goods. He showed he can thrive in an environment he felt comfortable in, for sure, but whether he's up there with the likes of Hamilton, Schumacher, and Senna, his time at Maranello, for me, put that debate to bed. Where do you rank Sebastian Vettel amongst F1's all-time greats? Did his Ferrari stint paint a bad picture over his title-winning years at Red Bull? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and also make sure to check out Aldas's channel in the link in the description. Until next time, it's goodbye.